You're watching the Green Machine live. Your home for Irish football news and nostalgia. David Dunn here, joined by Martin Prendergast. Very, very sorry. A little bit late, bit unplanned, bit all over the shop. Well, real life certainly came to the fore this weekend and today. So we're not our usual self. So we're a little bit blunderbust. I reckon, Martin, I think is the right way to put it. But what is the same is that, as always, whatever you want to talk about for the next 30, 35 minutes, you can have your say. Get involved, leave a comment. So we do apologize for the um, lack of advertisements and everything tonight, but we want to bring you the best show that we possibly can for the next 35 minutes. So I do apologize again. My fault, blame me, but unfortunately real life got in the way. But I love doing this, and I probably shouldn't be doing this tonight. I'm probably busy doing other things, but here we are because I love doing this. I love talking to you guys. And I think, Martin, you like talking to these people. You love talking to me, Martin. This is why you do it, isn't it? You don't have any friends. I am your friend.
That's right, yeah. And I know, yeah, look, we've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment, but yeah, look, this is our focus now for the next half an hour. And yeah, good to hear that the Irish fans are going to say about, the fallout from Thursday night's briefing and things like that. And, that's what's going to be good.
Yeah, actually, I never got to have my say about that, did I? I didn't get my say. I know you guys covered it on the podcast during the week. By the way, you can get that on our YouTube channel. You can also get that on the Facebook and Twitter, and you can also get it on the Green Machine Podcast.com, the Green Machine Podcast.com. Tell us what you guys thought about it out there. What did you think of Mark Hannam, Mr. Technical Director of the FAI? Who did he coach?
Oh, I don't know. It's just, yeah. I mean, quite experienced stuff, but look, we want to give what we had a chat myself and Nick the other night about it. And yeah, so we want to hear what you want to say. This is the one we've now been to be most involved with you. We've had our kind of opinion. Nick was very downhearted, wasn't he? He was very, if anyone has listened to it, Jesus, he had a very deflated kind of rant, I thought it was. But, I'm the Mr. Positivity of the podcast, and I'm trying to bring everyone back up. And I think, again, I'll be accused by probably Kenny Brigade of being over positive, but I think it is all resting now on October. I didn't think the FAI were going to move him on, but I think this match against Greece in October is a massive one for Stephen Kenny, because I think it's last roll of the dice for him. I think if he can prove that was a bit of a blip, the Greece away game, because that's the one I think the fans started to lose faith in Kenny with that terrible performance there. I think if we can beat Greece, kind of returning that result, and then get a honourable, well, I think we will then beat Gibraltar. That's 6 points from a camp. We've never done that under Stephen Kenny. And then it's all to play for going over to Holland and with a positive performance. I'm not saying that they will still keep Kenny on, but I think it's an opportunity for him to have that kind of argument.
You not think, though, that he is, in terms of football, a dead man walking?
He is, but I'm not surprised at the FAI doing it, because they've got no money and they can't pay him up contractually. And this is what we've had with Vera Pauw. We've seen, they let us see out a contract and then didn't renew it. It's just a new business world, as I said last week as well. I think the way they approach it is they want to be seen to be kind of fair employers. They contractually, they haven't felt it's gone that wrong in a sense, because now it's all easy to say that we had France and we had Holland, two top teams. It does come back to, I think, people losing faith in the kind of project, as it were, with the Greece away result. We've had ups and downs in these results and performances. Stephen Kenny's been under evident pressure. Going away to Malta was another mistake as well, where he should have tried some of these players on the periphery of the squad. He didn't do so. Again, people had lost faith in him there, because he needed to get the result then, because he knows it's a results business. And
well, I don't think he needed to get results in Malta. What he needed to get was to unearth some rough diamonds to expand his players pool. For me, I think if he had gone and done that at the time, even if we had a loss of 2 games, or 1-0 against Malta with an experimental.
If we'd have lost to Malta, though, people would be calling.
No, well, some people would have, but I think the powers that be would have known. Okay, you've done something there. But just moving on there, like what Mark Hannam was saying. I mean, I watched him. When he was interviewed by Off the Ball, and I thought his I mean, it goes to show you the difference of somebody being, he's media savvy, isn't he, Mark Canham? Like, he really, when you see him speak, he's quite calm, gets his message across quite clearly. Now, whether there's any substance to that message, whether people here are going to agree with that. Obviously, he was talking about the Vera Pau thing, wasn't he? And to defend, I suppose defend that decision, in terms of, we spoke to people. It's my job as director of football to do that, and I wasn't happy with the way she's doing the coaching. Not happy that she doesn't play 4-3-3. We want to play 4-3-3. But it's kind of funny now. You've got rid of one manager because she's not playing 4-3-3. You got the athletic stuff coming out, but then you have Kenny, and they'll keep him in a job even though the campaign's done. I think we've less than a 10% chance of qualifying or getting a playoff, because the Albania win against Poland has really done us there. And he won't get rid of, but he hasn't played 4-3-3 since, I believe, the game against England back in 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's
where he talked about being penned in and couldn't get the low block and all this kind of stuff. He started talking very, new football in a sense, and wouldn't get found out like that again. And then he's gone with this other kind of formation, of course. But yeah, look, I mean, it's less than a month away now. I mean, just some basic ticket news, if you don't mind me coming in on this now.
Go on, give us. You love your old ticket news, don't
you? So the away portal is open now for Irish fans wishing to travel. There you go, with the email sent from the club there. The away portal is open now, the FAI, so you can apply if you want to travel to Faro for the Gibraltar game on the 16th.
You and I will be there, Martin, won't we?
We will be, yep.
We'll have the honeymoon suite.
Monday the 16th of October. So, yeah, a month away. And first of all, obviously, we're playing Greece on Friday the 13th, so hopefully there won't be a horror show. But yeah, on the Monday, so the away portal's open now. Actually, interestingly, I thought it was at the Faro Football Association. Gibraltar's, obviously. They've done in Faro. Is that what it is? They are doing an under 18 price ticket and an over 60 ticket as well. So you can declare that for whatever way. They've got a different price category.
Few bob off yourself, Martin?
No, not for me yet. Oh, what? Under 18? I don't know. Well played, and then obviously the Holland one is open as well. And what the FAI want to do is gauge the interest for the November game on a Saturday night in November 18th. So they want to gauge the interest for now. So it's a very short time to apply if you're an Ireland fan. You can do so by obviously going through your supporters club if you're a member of them, or the FAI away portal is open. You have to register, add your passport, things like that. And that's all where the points are all registered and things. But we're thinking that Holland will be high in demand because it will be probably the last one it's the last away of the calendar year. And, it's always a good trip going over to Amsterdam.
We play New Zealand, don't we, after Holland?
We do, yeah.
That's mad. Because I remember,
the 21st, yeah.
Isn't it weird? Because the last time we played New Zealand was actually the penultimate game in the McCarthy era, because we played them before we played Denmark in what was basically a playoff. We had to win to get a playoff or to qualify. Do you remember?
Yep.
It's weird. Spooky.
It is weird, yeah. Oh, it is. But so that is what's happening at the moment. And they also are, of course, selling this for non-season ticket holders. The duo package is available now for the FAI. So you can buy a ticket for the Greece game and then the mighty New Zealand when they come to Lansdowne Road.
The All Whites.
On the 21st of November. And that's it for the calendar year. So
wow. stellar winter and autumn ahead for Irish football. Yeah. God, it's all a bit, I don't know, it's a bit underwhelming, Did you think Kenny was gone when they announced the because I put it out on the page, when we got the media invite. Unfortunately, we weren't able to attend it because it was too short notice. We got the media invite, Mark Canham and Jonathan Hill coming over, and I was a bit, I thought, oh, maybe this is the end of it for Kenny. But then, you get that sort of, rush. You're like, oh my God, not rush. I don't want to sound like, oh my, yes, they're sacking him, but just, oh my God, seismic change coming in Irish football, new manager. It's always mad. And then it was like, well, actually, no, they're probably just going to talk about the Vera Pau thing. I'm like, oh.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't think they
You
were going to
thought
be doing anything with Stephen Kenny. I thought it was all going to be about having to
Vera
cover
Pauw?
themselves and discuss the Vera Pauw thing. I thought it's quite interesting as well. Some of the other bits, obviously, they did. We spoke about the sponsorship thing, and he seemed to answer that quite well, Jonathan Hill. But I noticed today, I read something in the Examiner that he had been asked that as part of the 2028 bid, which I think we'll find out latter part of this year if that's successful or not, would be that that Jonathan Hill perhaps is going to be approached by UEFA to be the director of the tournament, and then that might mean he would have to step down from his Irish duties. But he said he didn't know anything about that, hadn't heard that speculation, and said that there are people overseeing it already. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a few questions really need to be answered by him in more detail.
I did like his answer though about to be fair about the Sure sponsorship, that they were actually trying to go down a different route, because I think he was saying that the single Sure sponsorship is sort of passé, and I don't think a lot of people want it because you don't want the Sure sponsor on it anymore, which came from an Arnold O'Byrne 1986 deal with GM Ireland, the Opel deal. That's what it came from, and it continued up until the last one with 3. And he was just actually saying, in fact, you can make more money by all the little sponsors, your DHL and all that, which, to be fair, and the Castori deal actually more than made up for that. So, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, shove it on the training kit. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I remember, when I think of even like England in the 90s, late 90s and stuff, I kind of think Green Flag was their sponsor, then Nationwide. You see that all in the press conference leading up to it. That's where your sponsors are out on show, because for the match, it's a bit different, isn't it?
Here's my thing as well. Like, this is my issue here, and we've been saying it about this on the podcast, is that that's a good explanation. Why didn't you say it before? Like, why hasn't he spoken about this before? Yeah. It's that communication, isn't it? It's that lack of communication. You're a public body. You are responsible to your stakeholders. We are your stakeholders. The fans, the media have invested interest in this. Sorry. Just tell us. Just tell us what's going on. That's a good answer. That makes sense. So now we could put that to bed. The short sponsor. Now we don't have to moan about it anymore. We go, all right, fair enough. We don't have a short sponsor. It's not the end of the world. We're not actually losing any revenue from that because we've made it up in other areas. Great. I actually was very happy to see that I think the debt has gone down a couple of million since he last said. 20. I think it was 63 million down to, I think it was like 44 million euros. Yeah. And now it's down to about 43, 42 million euros. Now, that's in the space of a few months. So that's good. I mean, things like that are going in the right direction. That's probably why. Because I'd imagine
where they're spending the money as well. Of course, that's the key thing. It's where they've said we're being very careful where they're spending money and what they're investing in and things. But I mean, they do seem to. I don't want anyone getting sacked, of course, but they seem to be very heavy on the match day. Backup teams with the backroom staff and stuff. But I think that's just modern football.
I mean, I think they brought a lot forward. The FEI. I thought, I think the social media interaction is very good. I like the match packs. I think that is phenomenal. So handy, especially for us. There you go. It's there. And they make that available for everybody, the press conferences and everything. I think that's really good. You're opening that up to the fans. I do like the presentation. I actually don't mind the crest. It's actually grown on me, the new crest. Which, I actually don't mind it. I actually like it. The new crest. The new shirt, I'm still not sold on because it's a story. But there's a lot of things I think they're doing right. They copy a lot of stuff from Lansdowne Road. I'm sure it's coinky dink when, you see it on this day. They have upped the game on that. I'm sure that's a complete coincidence. But things like that, they've really, in terms of modern football and the right to embrace that. And look, I've no issue with the backroom staff and all of that, getting involved, because that's just modern football, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're trying to. We've always had a good relationship with the players, but I think they're trying to open that up through social media. So I think there's a lot of good things that are being done, but there's still, way more improvement needed. As always, I'm sure they won't disagree. But that'd be interesting now if he does have to step down as CEO, and then he takes over the director. He did say he knew nothing about that. Well, I'm sure that hasn't come from absolutely nowhere.
No.
But anyway, If you want to hear more about that, we will be, of course, in Faro, and we will be. Are you going to Amsterdam, Martin?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Of course he is.
Yep.
And of course, it'll be the same thing. But hopefully, I won't get really ill this time like I did last time. Heat stroke and COVID. I had COVID. There you go.
I think you got a bit of a dose of illness you got from I think, but I thought you said something about you were looking forward to going to Amsterdam and not picking up a dose like you had. I don't know, something about that you said last time. I don't know, maybe I was.
Oh dear, what a dose of flu.
Yes, yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. Well, I blame you actually. I walked 8 miles down to see you in France, in Paris. That was the heat stroke. I was in. It's funny because I clawed back onto the Eurostar, and I was like, oh, and I had no appetite, and which no sense of smell, no taste. Well, more than one level, and because I got the Eurostar, I got the the free breakfast standard Premier. No, sorry. When you go standard Premier, Martin, when you do cross that bridge and you do square that circle, and you do live that dream like me, and you get free breakfast. And basically it's like a stale croissant and an orange juice. And I couldn't taste anything. I had no appetite, but I was eating that breakfast. I had paid for that breakfast.
I think I did post my journey nourishment was the
cans.
Bag of cans. That was it. So.
Bag of cans. Absolutely do I have it here? No, I don't have it here. I did actually have a picture of it. Here was me in France the day before. Look at the state of that sweaty head. For those, Jesus Christ, I was in bits. But then, I climbed on the thing, got home, passed out, then climbed onto the plane to go to Dublin, and you don't get heat stroke in Ireland anymore. I'm not going to get heat stroke in Ireland anymore. Like, just not going to happen. You're going to lose because it's Ireland. Do you know I actually got lost trying to find my mate Jay's house in Swords? And I used the Google Maps, and it actually brought me into a cul-de-sac and basically said, now jump over the back wall. It's like, not doing that. And that was a whole kind of thing. So it wasn't fun anyway, but hopefully I won't get any of that. But yeah, I had COVID. That's how ill I was. I didn't know until I got back to Monday and did a test. And so I'm still feeling the effects of that anyway. But listen, we're going to move it on to our boys in green. Of course, I see some comments coming in there, guys. Please keep those comments coming in. We're going to move it on to a little bit of Oibig. Our boys in green. Where is it? Now, I do apologize, guys. I haven't done a graphic for this because, it all went a little bit P-tongue today. So I do apologize. So I'm going to read out my phone, Martin. So you just sit back, Martin, relax, close those eyes, and just hear my dulcet tones. Nick very kindly actually put this forward. He's no internet either, has he? He's no Wi-Fi. Or the hamster died.
Yeah. We must just explain the real reason that Nick's not on is because Okaflex scored today, and Nick just, is still running around the house somewhere celebrating because it's a player he's talked up so much over, I think, the whole existence of the Green Machine podcast. I've always heard that name, and it was the first person who ever mentioned him to me was Nick, and he's never shut up about him since. And
he scored for Zurich.
Yeah.
FC Zurich 3-0 against Tuggen. I'm sure Nick's doing plenty of Tuggen tonight.
And he's got no Wi-Fi. He scored in the day. He's got no Wi-Fi, so he's using up all his phone
data.
All the data's been used up just watching the replay of his celebration and goal.
Sure, he doesn't need to. I'm sure he has it in the L Wank Bank, doesn't he? So he doesn't need to.
I know. 25 past. Yeah, we're right.
Yeah, we're all right. It's 10:36. Don't worry. But anyway, so Armstrong Okaflex got a goal for SC Zurich in a 3-0 win against Tuggen. Aaron Connolly got a goal for Hull City 1-1 against Coventry City. He was sent to Coventry. Well, he has been sent to Coventry in the past. Do you know what? I never knew what that expression meant. Well, I knew what it meant, but I only fully realized it when I went to Coventry. And a truer statement has never been said. But anyway, Aaron Connolly It's got a goal against Coventry City. Nice header, nice looping header. Did you see
Really
it?
good goal.
Yeah, apparently he's taken. Who was the young lad at Hull City? Oh, he's taken Rory Delap under his wing, apparently, at Hull City. I don't know how I feel about that, Martin, after Aaron's previous exploits. Yeah. But apparently he's not fully fit yet. But he's doing well.
Yeah.
He's doing well.
Yeah, it was a good goal. Obviously.
Yeah. Nothing else to add, just a good goal. God, it's a match of the day, is it?
Everyone just gets a bit carried away, don't they, with the stats and things. But I don't know.
What, the goals?
I did hear something, and maybe one of the listeners or viewers can advise on this. In the Holland match or Netherlands match the other night, before Sinclair Armstrong was brought on, and the subs made late, Vesti, I think was the other one, wasn't it? That he went down the tunnel, Aaron Connolly. I don't know if that's true. Was it him throwing his toys out the pram or not? I don't know. I hadn't heard anything more, but I have referred to this in the past that, I've seen him around the camp hotel and stuff, and he did seem quite aloof probably 2 years ago and not very engaging with people, but maybe that's just him.
Okay. Any of you guys out there? We will get your comments. Any of you guys out there watching hear about that? Aaron Connolly threw his toys out of the pram, went down a tunnel when he wasn't going to make it on. Maybe he felt he was going to make a difference. To be fair, he's in good form. Sammy Smodux. Now, Sammy Smodux, he got a goal for Blackburn, 2-1 win over Middlesbrough. I thought he got two.
Got two, yeah.
He got two, didn't he? He got a brace for Blackburn against Middlesbrough. Yeah. Now, Brandon, I'm going to break the rule with the comments here. Brandon Walsh has asked, why does no one in the media question Kenny Smodux? I never hear anything being asked about him when the squads are announced. So, what does Sammy Smodux have to do to get into that Ireland squad? He was Player of the Month when the squad came out, was selected for the last round of internationals. What's he got to do?
Yeah, it's a question that they need to ask, basically, and I don't think they really have, the media, so we can put that one on them because, we've never had an explanation. But, still doing really, really well. He's been the best player in the Championship probably this year so far. So how he's not been called up is a mystery. And,
just madness. But yet again, this goes back to the criticism, doesn't it, and by the way, Brandon, we have been asking this question on this particular, like, what does he have to do? International football, I get it. You want to play a system, but a lot of time you have to go with players that are in form. The guy has been on form for Blackburn. He's getting better. I heard a whisper. Apparently, he's looking at maybe going to Hungary. I don't know. I saw that on Lansdowne Road. I don't know how true that is. I mean, Smodux is obviously a Hungarian name. He was born in England, and he hasn't played a competitive game. So if he does have a link to Hungary, that will. That's close enough to allow him to play for Hungary. I mean, you couldn't really blame him, could you? If he said, all right, what do I have to do? Or does he just have to the year? But yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know. I don't know how he's not getting in the team. Other wee big was James Combs, got a goal for Derby County in a 1-1 against Portsmouth. Jesus, Nick was really scraping the barrel here. Dave McGoldrick got a goal for Notts County in a 2-0 win over your pal Gary Neville and his Salford City. Opinion on that. And Dan Curley got a goal and assist for Notts County in that game as well. That was it. That was it, really, in terms of goal scoring. There was a few other things as well to talk about. I mean, Nick also mentioned, because Nick's great at the L research, isn't he? So he was on about Liam Scales for Celtic will be playing in the Champions League for Celtic. I think our only Champions League player. Oh, well, Queeving Gallagher, but, he was actually might start. He's another one.
In the Liverpool in the Champions League.
No. Oh, sorry, they're in Europa, aren't they? Thanks, Martin.
We are clipping that.
No, just we're always in it, so it's just we'll be in the next season, Martin. How'd you get on over the weekend? How'd you get on over the weekend? Ten Hag, yeah.
Didn't have a game. I'm, as you know, I'm a big fan of grassroots football. Enfield Town didn't have a game this weekend, but I did go and see Enfield Town in the FA Cup. The men's senior team done very well, got through to the third round qualifying now. It's very exciting.
Very exciting, yeah.
Grassroots, it's all about grassroots.
Didn't watch Man United get battered at home without Evan. I mean, I tell you what, right? All joking aside, I saw one of the goals that he scored there that made it 3. I don't know if it made it 3-0, but it was 30 passes. Oh, yeah. Evan Ferguson, I hope De Zerbi stays there because apparently he's been touted as a replacement for Ten Hag. Ten Hag is not going to be long in the role of Man United because you are a mess, by the way. United are an absolute mess from top to bottom again. Last year was a bit of a fluke, just saying. But apparently, if there's, De Zerbi is tipped to be the right manager, but I saw one of the goals there, and I really hope he stays there because Ferguson, that football, that level of football was just phenomenal. The passing, it was beautiful. Not just because of against United, it was really good. He's at the right club. He is at the right club to be nurtured.
Yeah.
What did you make of Gareth Southgate's comments during the week about Evan Ferguson? Oh, we went after him, but he was born in Ireland, so we're going to leave him alone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then they were mentioning other players they are actually looking at, weren't they? So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them.
That just shows you what they're doing. That's it.
They want an advantage. Yeah, they want an advantage. Jack did it. Jack did it in 1986. He wrote to every club in England and he wrote to every club in Scotland because there wasn't so much of a disparity back then between the clubs. You could play Division 1 or Division 2 and still do a job at international level back then. There wasn't, and the Scottish League was obviously quite strong back in the 80s too. And England are doing the same. They're trying to get everybody in because, if they take stuff from us, then, we're less of a threat. Not saying we're a threat at the moment, but anyway. But Liam Scales, back to that though, Liam Scales, he will be playing Champions League football. Yeah, that's another one who can't get in the squad with Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was in Malta away, wasn't it? You said that I think you had engagement, was it, with his parents who travelled over? I'm very disappointed that he didn't get a bit of game time. I think it was that one. Yeah, look, he's been called up a few times and never really gets a chance. And I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of the end of him when he wasn't really making it at Celtic. I thought, look, he mustn't be, if you're going off to kind of other teams on loan deals in Scotland, you're struggling a little bit, like we've said about Jamie McGrath as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
But, he's come back there and under Rodgers, he's been given a chance and he's doing really, really well. And yeah, it's fantastic to see.
Here's some stats here, Nick. I've actually got some stats on Sandy Smollett, I'm going to go back on. Liam Scales. This is from Kenny's Kids, by the way, on Twitter. Centre back, 24, completed more passes than any other player, 111, including 5 out of 7 long balls. Celtic beat Dundee 3-0 at Parkhead today. And then he could be playing Feyenoord in Group B, the Champions League. So yet again, we'll pick a player who's League 2. Now, having to go with James McLean, he was very good on the Late Late Show. But do you know what I mean? Like, he's playing top flight football and he's going to be in the Champions League. He's playing the highest level of club football, which is the Champions League.
Yeah, look, fair play to him, brilliantly. And I think it's actually, we might as well plug a previous episode. I had a chat, didn't I, with his little book, Larry Mahoney, Move the Ball. He's a coach with the FAI many years ago. Brilliant kind of grassroots football coach. And the forward in that book is actually by Liam Scales. And he actually spoke to me about him and what he thought he might bring basically to Irish football, because he was saying he's a fantastic player and he worked with him for a long time as well. So, I'd like him to do well. And it's always great to have players like that. But that Champions League experience is massive. And we haven't had enough players get that over the years. When you look back, actually, a really interesting article about kind of levels of players and where we're playing compared to France. I think the French team had over 450 appearances in the Champions League between them. Players. Well, I don't think we had anyone. So, or maybe Kelleher, but you could argue in the squad, but very, very few. Premier League, and Premier League, like I think even appearances, we had very few. So that's the levels where we are at the moment. But yeah, look, we want to see these players playing the Champions League and doing really, really well and being tested, and they can bring that experience then to when they come up with Ireland. But he's got to be looked at, surely. No,
100%. And on Sammy Smollett, the other guy that can't get in against Middlesbrough, 2 goals scored, 5 chances created, 86% pass completion. That's 44 out of 51. 3 out of 3 crosses completed. 3 out of 4 long balls completed. Fouls run. I don't bother with that bollocks. Fouls run. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just some really high stats there. Yeah, he'll go with players. He will, what's the word I'm looking for? He'll persist with players. I'm not going to call him out, but you know who we're talking about, senior players who don't get a kick of the ball, but you know, they've been around a long time, so we'll give them a go. And you have these young lads here, and they're pulling up trees at club level, and they're doing really well. I just think it's one of the reasons why why the Irish team's in the position it is in. Right, we're going to move it on to the comments, Martin. I think that's all we have for Oi Big. Barry Murray. So we don't have enough money to get rid of Kenny. That's the most lame excuse to not get rid of someone. If a lad was doing a brutal job in any other, easy for me to say, in any other occupation, it wouldn't matter the cost. It did smack a bit of apathy from me, Martin. I felt like I'm not after Kenny's blood, and I don't want it to be decimated in the press. And you know, I think he's taken enough flack on social media, but it does strike to me that I cannot. Now I know you're Mr. Positive, but let's be honest. I don't see how the writing's on the wall. We knew the writing was on the wall with Vera Pauw. The writing's on the wall now with Stephen Kenny. Why would you not try to get a manager in now before they're too long into a campaign? And that was another thing he said. He said, well, we're not worried about missing targets, because if we miss one target, then another one might come along. I think that's ridiculous. That's
I think that they've got to cover themselves. They must have reached out to Carsley to find out if he's interested and up for the job.
And he probably says
might not be the time at the moment. And it does come down to money. It's not a case of us we're not getting rid of him because we can't afford to get rid of him. They don't want to have to pay him up any compensation. So, and there's rumours about the contracts, isn't there? And you know that they wouldn't discuss that the other day, but they don't like to pay compensation now, obviously, because we are absolutely skint and we're our asses.
We can't be talking about millions, though. Do you know what I mean?
No, we're not. No, but it's more though. Then you're going into trying to bringing in an interim manager for these next 4 games, basically. Which then does that manager do really well? And then it's like a little bit like Man United, wouldn't it? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in as interim, done really well, and it's like Rio Ferdinand shouting, "Let's put the contract on the table." Ole's at the wheel and all that stuff. It didn't work out ultimately, did it? Like, it came close, but it didn't work out. And that's what I think they've got to be very, very careful to do. They have to be careful doing that.
But then but look, they knew, right? He was been under pressure for quite some time, so they knew. I mean, I don't understand. Was Jonathan Hill at the game against the
Jonathan
Dutch?
Hill is. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was. No, just find it funny because he went home and then he flew back. Now, I would have thought.
Yeah, he was definitely. Yeah, I saw him in the hotel that night. Yeah.
Okay, I would have thought now, but he flew back in for that, didn't he?
Possibly, yeah, from like Paris. Yeah, probably did he?
No, but okay. I thought he went home, back to London, and then flew back in for
I know. I would have thought he'd have been in for the whole. He would have travelled with a team.
Okay,
backup. I would say he was there.
He was there. I mean, I don't understand that. Like, what conversation these guys are having? You know, it's the Kenny era to me looks over. You know, like with the.
No, I kind of can answer it. I mean, I've spoken to Jerry McAnany, the president, a few times after games and things, and around the hotel and stuff. You know, and I spoke to Jonathan Hill after the France home game, and basically, you know, they felt they were very, 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 very close in the French game, the first one, when Collins's header was saved by the keeper in the end. And you know, and just need that bit of luck. They do feel that Stephen Kenny needs a bit of luck, but I think it's the positivity of the players, and that's what you do hear from the lads. Like, they're very positive, very supportive of Kenny, even like James Cleaner can, the Late Show. Now, I know they're not going to come out and go, no, we've lost faith with him, or not. But you can do things as players, though, if you're not happy with things. You can get that message across. They are cleverer than they make out in that respect, and they can get that kind of message across. You can not answer. You can give your answer to that question, whether you back the manager or not, by saying it a certain way. And I think they are all still behind him, and they know how hard they're working, and they know.
I don't think the players are against him. I don't think the players.
But I think it's important. I think that is getting
but
support from
it's
the
not working.
senior management. And what I think as well the senior management do, they're so not afraid. I think they're just cautious of not like why we have to have a press briefing is because Jonathan Hill doesn't make himself available for the renter quote, basically. And that's because John Delaney used to always do that. And he would, in a way, speak on behalf of the board.
But there is a happy medium, though, Martin, isn't there? Like, I mean, okay, you don't have to be John Delaney, you know, although John Delaney was never on social media, although he was watching social media because TV used to get banned all the time, allegedly. But, you know, there doesn't seem to be much engagement with Jonathan Hill. Like, you don't really hear his opinion. Now, you see Noel Mooney. We like Noel. I'm not against Jonathan Hill, by the way. I've never spoken to the man. But Noel Mooney, he was the interim CEO. You know, Irish football was in the toilet at the time and, you know, off the pitch. And basically, you know, I spoke to Noel about it and I said, look, I'm from Lansdowne Road. And he goes, do you know what? I'll give you an interview. Because he wanted to get the message out to as many people. He left no stone unturned. And he gave me an interview in Tbilisi. And he was so honest. I will have to get that interview remastered, actually polished up. It's a fine interview. Well, I think it's a fine interview. It just sounds a bit bogey because it was literally my first ever interview. And he was so honest. He came out and he like, I inherited this. And he explains a lot. I think with John Hill, he's very opaque. He doesn't explain anything. And I think that's to his detriment.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's speaking on behalf of the board and he's got to check that the board are all okay with that. And that's what it is now. I think that, he's not going to be the one who makes the decision to sack the manager. It's a board decision. That's what we saw with Vera Pauw. Like it went to a vote basically, and it went on a long time as well because they had to get the story and the narrative right, and that's exactly it. And they're just frightened of being this, you know, dictatorship basically, and they don't want they don't want to be having that at all.
I did say, that's the problem. Is it's still a shadow of the Delaney era. I mean, I did say at the time with Kenny, you know, they were in a bit of a bad situation because the fans are still behind them. This is a while back. The fans are still behind them. The players seem to be behind them. So the FAI were like, well, we sacked this guy. We're going to turn the players against us. You're going to turn the fans against us. And they were in a very, you know, we can't win here. But there seemed to be this rumor that was going around that there didn't have to be, there was a thing of compensation. They didn't have to pay as much.
Contention.
If you weren't in contention. But I think that should be brought out into public. I think that should be spoken about, you know, because we're hearing all these rumors being bandied about.
Yeah, I don't think you can, though, because I think I would rather that in a way they come out and say, look, stick with us on this. He's got the rest of his campaign. We are reviewing it, as I said, if we miraculously got the playoff thing. But also, we are trusting that this is a whole new... I'd love if they said, like, Mark Canham can come out and say about Vera Pauw that he doesn't agree with, you know, the Vera Pauw's strength and conditioning, that she wasn't going to change and things. But at the same time, he could come out and say, really love what Stephen Kenny's doing. Like, in the whole history of Irish football, this guy... is making changes, and this is how we're going to play now. This is what every other nation's doing. I actually read a really good thing on a Facebook forum today, an Irish fan saying, you know, if you look at it, the argument, and I know I sound very pro Kenny on this argument, but it's not really. And he was making a point as well that we've got to tournaments in the past playing certain like ways, and it's kind of glorious failure. We always get knocked out. We get absolute hiding from a footballing nation. So why can't we try and be a footballing nation and go where all these other teams are trying to do it as well? Every other team seems to be getting better at the smaller nations that we compare ourselves with size-wise. You know, they are all progressing.
Yeah. The only way.
Why are we like you read it an awful lot. Like that got us to Euro 88 going long ball. So why don't we do that? Modern football's changed now. We're all playing out, even the way the referees' directives are, you know, the two players can come into the area for goal kicks. It's all playing out. It's changed football completely. So it's a lot different, but also somewhat similar in a way that the high press, Jack started that. So I think I would love Mark Canham to come out and say, look, this is us adapting as a footballing nation, and it's going to take time. We're going to make mistakes. We're not going to qualify for every tournament. But you're seeing a different type of football. And that's going to take time to the players as well.
There's no openness, though. That's the problem. It's all very... You know, it's no openness. There's still no trust in the media. I think the Irish football media, actually, I think a lot, you know, I think they'll be very patient with Kenny. They understand this, by the way. They understand what Stephen Kenny's trying to do, and that's why I didn't buy that nonsense from Martin O'Neill. Oh, the Irish media put Stephen Kenny in charge. Hold on a second. Martin O'Neill seems to forget that Mick McCarthy, he was ousted for Mick McCarthy, not Stephen Kenny. So Martin O'Neill needs to get that right, but he won't go near Mick McCarthy because he's probably his mate. Anyway, we've needed this reset for a very long time, and yes, we're sick of going to tournaments, the odd tournament on a wink and a nod. And let's be honest, the O'Neill campaign was a wink and a nod, playing a style of football that was a wink, and everything was just a wink and a nod. It's just like throw as much stuff to the wall and stick, and we want. But the only way we're going to get that is if we have all underage levels playing that style of football. We don't have an identity. That's been our problem for years because we've brought merchants in over the years. Yeah. We've brought in Jack. No, Owen Hannon wanted to play a bit of ball. Johnny Giles wanted to play a bit of ball, but it was actually kind of what you're getting with Kenny now. Just kind of close defeats and the odd draw.
Yeah,
that's the Kenny era just reminds me of the Giles era, to be honest with you. Not very inspiring. And then Jack said, no, you can't do that. You got to play the press. And then we all played a bit of football. Kerr, I don't know what Kerr was trying to do, to be honest with you. It was very, very bad to watch. We've just had this constant mishmash. England had it for years as well because they, with Taylor after Robson, and then you had Venables, and it's only now that they're trying to establish an identity, and we're so far behind. You look at France; they caress the ball around the back four. Why? Because they've been playing that style of football for decades. Clairefontaine, the camp that St. George's Park is based on, where all the lads came through the academy.
Yeah,
it's based on that. The Spanish played out from the back. The Dutch, 4-3-6. They have this identity. Germans had an identity. It was efficiency. Didn't work. Tore it up, and he went again. And he won the World Cup. Now they're going to have to go again, obviously. Yeah. But we don't have that identity, and we haven't had it for a very, 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 very long time.
And to be fair, that's what he's trying to do now. I do think, in my heart of hearts, I think we will get results. I think he's going to get a bit of luck, and this is very optimistic. But I still think it won't be enough. And I think, like we've said all along with this, I think sadly, just for other reasons where he's not as impressive, I think it will just be seen as this is actually a really good team now. They're going to prove that they're a very good team, and it's going to be someone else who's going to get the benefit of this kind of interim period.
That I agree with. I do think, and we're going to move it on to going to get through the rest of the questions, wrap this up. One of the guys there said it wasn't Neil Reardon, it was Owen Kozer, I think it was. And he said that I think history will judge Kenny favorably, no matter what happens at the end of this campaign. Yeah. I think we are on the verge of a success story with the Irish football team, by the way. I really do believe that. The future is bright. And I think Kenny will play a part in that. He may not be at the end of that. He may not be the beneficiary of that in terms of a coaching capacity, but he will play the part, and you won't be able to tell our success story without mentioning Stephen Kenny. I do believe that because he has played his part, but
if you think about the remaining camps, though, right? It's all about one game, right? On each of them. So it's Holland in November, but it's Greek. It's all about the Greek game here because we'll beat Gibraltar anyway, right? So it's all about that Greece game. So he has got to go out and get a performance against them. And if he doesn't against Greece at home, then that's for me, that is it.
Yeah, basically. I mean, we'll look at it that
Holland,
way.
then you can go and you can have a go at New Zealand. It doesn't matter, New Zealand.
But I will say this: nothing screams out of me as to how or why and how we'll get a performance against Greece. Nothing says to me that we will.
So I think why we will is I think Mikey Johnson will be back and be fit, and I think Evan Ferguson will be fit, and that is two massive players for us.
I don't. Do you know what? I'm going to say this about Evan Ferguson. I love Evan Ferguson. I don't think we're going to have him for the rest of the campaign. I think Brighton are going to manage him. And I think every time he comes around, he's going to pull out a squad because he's managing this knee problem because he's still a young lad and he's growing.
Yeah, maybe.
Telling you now, I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen, but I think that's what's going to happen because he was in the squad again this weekend. He was out for the week and he was in the squad again. Now he didn't play; he didn't have to.
He came on last 5 minutes, didn't he?
He came on last 5. Sorry, I didn't. But job was done. Job was over. 3-0 up like at one stage, and they're going to manage him. He's not going to get. I'd be surprised if he plays another game at the end of the campaign until he gets that knee issue sorted. But that's just my prediction. Right, let's get it on. Let's get it on. Let's get it going. Brian Murray also stated to your earlier comments about the last roll of the dice, Martin. He says there is no last roll of any dice for Stephen Kenny, and he even puts a little dice on there. Nice touch, Barry. Barry Murray. Kenny wasn't fit for the Scottish PL. How he's an international manager is beyond me. Darrell O'Connor, how are you doing? We've got a few comments coming from him as well. Neri Newick. For fuck's sakes, friendly versus New Zealand. Scrape that barrel, FAI. Well, it could be worse. It could be, oh man, the John Delaney derby. Darrell O'Connor with his first question. And it's a random one, according to Darrell. I don't agree with shirt sponsors on the shirts, but if we had to have one, what brand company would you have? For me, Aer Lingus would fit. I think Aer Lingus is perfect.
No, I said this actually last week. It's so simple. It's just a Guinness harp. That's all it's got to be.
Oh,
Guinness so class in gold. It would just look. I mean, you wouldn't even have to know. You'd know it's Guinness without having the Guinness name, but they would just look class.
And like black tracksuit tops.
Yeah, really like black, the gold and the white and stuff. You could do a real decent.
I'll go with that. I love the old CIE logo on it. I used to love that as a kid. Anyway, CJ Howe says Ireland will win a tournament without a doubt. And Raymond McInerney asks, CJ, which tournament? CJ, which tournament are you talking about? Are you talking about the rugby? Or are you talking about
Jesus, yeah,
football? Sebastian Knowlton, I didn't know what to make of the press conference when it was called either. Alas, Kenny isn't an aspiring man, and we need a manager who will instill confidence in the players as well as the fans. Arnold Schwarzenegger should be manager. Fair enough, Sebastian. Although, to be fair, he would inspire you, Arnie. I had met Arnie before. Went up. I was at book signing in Piccadilly, and it was his book Total Recall. That's his only book. Well, that and the diet book he did years ago. And I went up to him, and I went, how are you, Arnie? Looking well. I put my hand out and shook his hand, and he sort of bemusedly like shook my hand. And then like all the security people were like, oh.
Can't touch him.
No, but I did. I shook his hand. I was probably the only one who did it. They weren't very happy about it. I don't care. I got to shake Arnie's hand. Barry Murray again. Going to the Greece game and obviously looking for the win, but half of me hopes an unconvincing one so that the FA don't think of giving Kenny a new cheap contract. Can't take any more. So Barry's basically saying, bit of me wants to see them not win very much, and then in a way, because he doesn't want us to lose, but he wants them to win in a way that's not convincing, and it makes the FA
scrape it 1-0.
Scrape it 1-0 off.
Dodgy penalty.
Yeah, like the one against Malta. Well, no, I mean, look, listen. The way I see that, Barry, is that if it warrants Stephen Kenny being in a job, I want to see the man. I'd love to see him turn this around and then win every game, and then we somehow get a playoff and we get to the Euros and then we kick on from there. That would give me so much joy. That really would. I just can't see it happening, and I'm just being completely honest with you. But one man that Darryl wants to talk about, who might be taking over from Stephen Kenny in a while, Steve Bruce. Darryl Connor says, Bookie's favourite currently. Good God, surely we keep Kenny over the likes of him. Yes, Steve Bruce could have played for Ireland in the USA 94 if Fergie, your man, your God, hadn't have stopped him. We could have had him and Paul McGrath as a central defensive partnership. But anyway, Steve Bruce. No offense to Steve Bruce, but that's not the sort of manager. That's the sort of point we're trying to avoid, isn't it? We don't want to go back to the old that sort.
That is in the betting market. That is basically Steve Bruce is the new Martin O'Neill. And that Martin O'Neill used to be linked with every single job. England, Man United was always the favourite. He's the one. They make him like 2-1 favourite. People think, oh, that must be a certainty because it's so short. People have a few bob on it.
No, try to place down even more.
Yeah.
That's how it works. No, but not a bad manager, but I think his time has come and gone. Graham waiting for Carsey's contract to end. The FAI, he reckons. Then it's Fitzpatrick. Next 3 of 4 games are very winnable also, so you could easily make a case to let Kenny go now and give the new manager a chance to start well and gain momentum.
I just don't think there's anyone available, though. That's the thing. That's why they can't do that. It's not
Maybe
available.
so. Maybe so. And I get they can't explain that to a press conference, because especially if you're talking about somebody who's in a job with someone else. So I totally get that. Daryl O'Connor, Hill is a shambles in my opinion. Get Noel Rooney back for more bathroom interviews. Whatever do you mean, Daryl? Yeah, I. We'll judge Jonathan Hill in the fullness of time, but Noel Mooney for me at the time. But Shane Ross, that was his fault. We love Noel.
We
Kevin
do love
Ward.
Noel. One thing I'd say just quickly on Noel is I love the fact that with the Welsh,
No.
like how he engaged with, even the language, culture, everything to get it going, and everyone embraced it, the red wall and all that kind of thing. It was, brilliant. Like learn the language as well, partly, and done a fantastic job with it, and just fantastic. That was their first World Cup, wasn't it? In years, and amazing. So yeah,
50s,
we do like Noel.
58. Yeah, I love Noel.
Yeah.
Kevin Ward. As much as the results haven't been great in Kenny, there has been quite a few individual errors that has cost us results. Cullen v France, Doherty v Holland, etc. It's hard for a manager. O'Dowd against Greece. It's hard for a manager to. I'm just stating the facts, Martin. There's no agenda here. Don't you start. It's hard for a manager to account for these in their preparation. If we don't have those errors, we suddenly start viewing things differently. Players have to shoulder a lot of criticism too. I love buck stops with Kenny. I do agree there, Kevin. There has been a lot of individual errors, but concentration is key as well. And as I said, I think we've been too passive in games. I think our midfield has been too passive in games. We haven't been aggressive enough. We showed that aggression against Holland for the first 20 minutes, and we harried them into mistakes, and then we just kind of fell off. If you're going to play that style of football, if you're going to play the style of Kenny, the style of football Kenny craves, you have to be aggressive, and we're not aggressive. So I don't really know. That comes from the manager as well. But I know.
And it worries me though his in-game management and choice of subs and stuff.
Yeah.
That worries me a bit as well. He doesn't.
We're all on the same hymn sheet here. But yeah, I do get what he's saying about the individual errors. The one against Armenia, to what was it, Harahan and Hendrick. There was also Coleman in Armenia where he just stood off. He wasn't great. In Yerevan, there's a lot of errors actually. Shane Duffy against England, the 3-0. Like he had a complete nightmare. So yeah, but then again, the book does stop with Kenny. Sebastian Olsen again. The FAI demonstrated that they weren't willing to take action after Luxembourg and Armenia results. So at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if they make OnlyFans the short sponsor. With Luxembourg at home, to be honest with you, Sebastian, that was still in the pain period. I wasn't too bothered about that. Armenia away was very much avoidable. That was more disappointing than Luxembourg at home because it was further into the project. And after the Luxembourg at home, don't forget, Sebastian and guys out there, we did go out and batter Luxembourg in the return game. So that, to me, showed progress. Martin, you were there. It showed progress. And we thought, brilliant. Doesn't matter if we lose the first game at the beginning of the campaign. We went and we finished it strongly, and let's kick on the Nations League. We never did. We showed little signs of it. Scotland, Ukraine. And then Armenia away, it wasn't working. Two men in midfield. Cullen and Hendrick does not work. They just flooded the midfield, came at us, no aggression, and that was the goal, wasn't it? It was a daisy cutter, another one because we just sat off them. We gave them time. That's one of the reasons we concede so many long range goals, because our midfield isn't aggressive enough, doesn't press them enough. That's one of the major reasons. That's basic coaching. Sorry, going off on a complete rant there. But it's so obvious. Daryl O'Connor, looking forward to Gibraltar away, lads. So are we. An away day, we are guaranteed to win. Not too many of them around these days. Yeah, we are looking forward to a little day trip. We'll hope to see you there, Daryl. Chilling out in the pool. We are actually staying in Faro. Daryl, sorry. I know I never got back to you. A text, but we are staying in Faro, Martin and I. Rob Aladine, Kenny needs to shake things up in midfield. Try Collins in there and Smolix. Very quickly, that was suggested to us about Collins being in midfield. One of the guys, was it Graham Farrell said? No, was it one guy who said it? And then Nick said, no, I don't think so. And then he actually asked the question. I don't think it's out of this world, is it? To maybe put him in.
It's not, no. Well, it's not.
I think Rob actually.
It kind of happens, doesn't it? With yeah, like it's been muted, and I think it's not a bad thing. I think he kind of can do that against some of the weaker sides, perhaps. But he's not. Let's look at it fairly. I think when he put Cyrus Christie in midfield, Martin O'Neill people were questioning then, and I think you've got to just be careful with that kind of experimentation and stuff like what message you give into your midfielders.
Well, there is that, to be fair. And Rob Allardyne, it was Rob Allardyne. Here's a little bit. Here's what Rob wants. So he's thinking Collins in there and Smodics. Ebicelli right back, Manning left. And then he says, time to move on from Coleman, Doherty, McLean. I do agree there. Bring Annie Moran through now. Amabamidali instead of Duffy. And yes, as he goes, it was me.
Hey.
Right, that's a question. Good man, Rob. And... he says we're a try against New Zealand. Interesting. But, the problem is, though, and I don't want to go on about it too much, the way international football is now, Rob, as we all know, there's not many friendlies. And that's why when you get an opportunity for friendlies, and we had them in November, you make the most of them. You don't just pick the same. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Anyway, we'll move it on. Daryl O'Connor, article I read says we need likes of Wales and the post automatically qualify for a playoff to trickle down. If all Nations League A qualify, it trickles down to League B. Good man, Daryl. Daryl O'Connor, Jays, is Luxembourg away most expensive way they have done. Was that expensive for you as well, Martin?
Yeah, it was, because we were chased out of bars accusing us of not paying bills and stuff. A lot of that kind of crap went on there, to be honest, and it happened to different groups of fans. They kept serving, but yeah, you got to be very careful in these away trips when that happens.
What was that?
Yeah, it was expensive. Basically, we went into the bar, and there was a group of people and stuff, different groups spotted around and stuff, and they served us like free beers. And then we had another round of free beers, and then we paid our drinks, and then different groups in and out and stuff. And then later, they just said to one of the guys, "Oh, here's your bill." I said, "No, we paid." And they went, no, you haven't and stuff. So I had to give them some money because they were just going to kick off about it. But it happened apparently to some other groups as well.
Almost happened in Paris as well.
Yeah, that's exactly. They're just like that, these cafe restaurants. They're not geared up for football matches and football fans.
You just get plastic cups, you get a Guinness keg in, and you just keep it flowing. It's that simple. Are you a Guinness man, Martin?
Yeah.
Good man. Darren O'Connor, staying in Albufeira myself. Lads, I'm sure I'll see you there for some top class interviews. Yes, you will. Good man. We'll definitely see you there. Graham on YouTube. Annie Moran and a left back should be fast track. We have no 10. We have no 10. No, we don't. Darryl O'Connor, the PYG is Luxembourg.
The pig in Luxembourg. Yeah, I was in that. Yeah, it was good.
8 or 9 quid a pint though. Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm sure you weren't in Dublin. Temple Bar.
It was good in there though.
Probably charge me with tap water. I'm a water man, Martin.
Yeah.
I'm a cheap date. Jimmy Shell, hi lads, great show as usual. Thank you, Jimmy. Hearing loads about Sammy Smodics. Has he played for underage teams much or at all? Can't find information. He hasn't. He was he just changed his allegiance from England to Ireland in 21. He was there with that. I think it was 2021, wasn't it? He did it, and he came in with Harness, Josh Harness. Am I saying that right? What's his name?
Marcus Harness.
Marcus Harness. Who the fuck is Josh Harness? Marcus Harness, and just never featured again. Weird. Rob Allardyne, what was your worst away trip? I remember being in Macedonia and the fans throwing rocks at us. What was your one, Martin?
I didn't like Slovakia away when almost as much as Stephen Ireland. But then I did get pickpocketed, so it's a bit annoying when that happens on an away trip, and especially after you've left the wedding the night before to go to the airport to just get on a flight, and you're going on the beer you've been at the beer at a wedding, and then you're going on the beer for 4 days, and the camera gets nicked. It wasn't my camera; it was my now wife's actually. So yeah, got in trouble for that. But, Slovakia. I just didn't really like it there.
No, that's fair. Rob, what was yours, by the way? I'll answer mine. I'm not sure what my own was. Probably Paris, because I got really ill just there. I mean, remember I was in Slovakia as well. I actually enjoyed it, but we got absolutely bollocksed. We were in Žilina that time. Remember, the one where they got the train. We were on the bus. The guy wouldn't know. It's actually in Champagne Football. If you read that story about David Dunn giving out about being on the bus and not being able to use the toilet. It's actually me, by the way. Paul Rowan wrote me a little bit for it. And we were just locked in a cage. I loved it in a way, but it was just great. And at the end, they locked us in for an hour. We couldn't use the toilet. And then we ran out of the bus onto the streets. All the buses were parked up, and we all just took a slash against the wall because we were burst. We couldn't go because we were locked in the cage. And just outside the cage was the toilet, which is really cruel. Very Soviet Union, actually. And anyway, they started coming forward. Like, they had like Battens and stuff and Alsatians or German Shepherds, and they started coming towards us because you weren't allowed to urinate in the street. It was a night in the cells if you did it. But, we couldn't help ourselves, and the guy wouldn't let us use the toilet on the bus on the way down. So we thought, well, we better do it now. He started coming towards, like, shit, you like that. You try to shake yourself, oh, please, for fuck's sake, they're coming at us, and they're getting faster. I just bolted, and luckily, as chance had, I just took a chance and bolted onto the correct bus. I mean, we're all going back to Bratislava, and and the irony was, your man was letting us use the fucking toilets on the way back, wasn't he, the prick? But that was fun. That was great. That was trying to get in and getting patted down, and one guy like literally nudged into me. I went forward like an inch, and the guy shoved me and took his baton off and put it in my face. You stay back. I was like, whoa, calm down. But that was funny. And a guy in a leprechaun suit the night before was passed out down. I remember I got into my room and he was passed out down by the corridor. And I saw him again the next day in the same suit. I don't think he got out of it. I don't think he got his deposit back in that one, Martin.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, that was my one. But it was great crack anyway. Daryl O'Connor, we haven't had the American on, so I'll do the honorary away to Jace with a story. No, we haven't. Good man, Daryl. Yeah, where is he? Daryl O'Connor, I haven't had a bad away day yet personally. On results, maybe Ireland away day is best thing ever. Nothing tops it. No, you're absolutely spot on, Daryl. Hope everything's well with you, son. Rob Valentine, Macedonia was scary. North Macedonia, Rob. We're not allowed to call it Macedonia anymore. It's North Macedonia. I had a guy contact me privately. You can't be calling it North Macedonia when I shared a 3-2 in 97. And I was like, well, it was called Macedonia back then. It's North Macedonia. It was called Macedonia back then. I don't say the 1989 game where Liam Brady was taken off. Germany. No, it was West Germany, because that's what it was. Anyway, Daryl O'Connor, coming home from Scotland, the way we were getting the bus back through the ship, Stranraer to Belfast, and bus back down. Ship went on fire, so we were pushed to the next one, ended up on a sailing. That's kind of gone off, but he continues with a loyalist flute band and all oranges. It was like a vampire looking at a cross when he's seen our green. Oh god. Jimmy Shell, think of worst trips. I'd say it was a game of Seville, the famous game where Maradona wanted Roy Keane to play with Seville. I think it was in 92 when John Aldridge had a goal wrongfully disallowed. Jimmy, yeah, I remember that, and they went down to 10 men. We should have won that. It was a great goal as well. As if the match wasn't the best, beaten 2-0, I think. We were getting soaked in piss being thrown down by home. We were getting soaked in piss being thrown down by home fans above us. You can imagine we went back to hotel to change. Oh, Jesus. The one in 88 was the 2-0 where O'Leary came back for the Ireland team for the first time in 2 years. But it was the one with Roy Keane. That was the one in 92 where we got a 0-0 draw, but should have won it. But yeah, that sounds like a nightmare. That's disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kevin Ward, if we could pick one Irish player from any Irish here that has attributes that we're really missing now, who would it be? Ronnie Whelan. For me.
Roy Keane.
Yeah, but Ronnie Whelan was better.
Roy Keane, though, just run that midfield himself, wouldn't he? That would be it.
I think they would both do it, but Roy Keane would do it. Like, Roy Keane wasn't as technical as Ronnie, but he would do it in he would obviously drive him forward, because that was Roy Keane's thing. But yeah, Ronnie would do it I'd put him in the Cullen role, Ronnie Whelan, because he would pick a pass like that.
Yeah.
Just saying. Reese Masterson, sorry. How are we, lads? How are you, Reese? We're very well, thank you. Have a question. Who do you think was the most underrated Ireland player of all time? Ronnie Whelan. He fucking was.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a hard question, this, because you've got lots of different, players. I think we actually put up recently players who played and did all right, and we were hoping they were going to be a lot better, and they didn't really get an opportunity and stuff. I mean, like, so for example, like Andy Reid, even Wes, of course. But most underrated, I think underappreciated. I think ultimately, Robbie Keane is underappreciated because of the goals. Because if you
agree there, Martin,
that most underrated, it's a very hard question, isn't it? That, to be honest, yeah, I'll have to give that a bit of thought. It's a great question.
Ronnie Whelan. It's very simple, Martin. Just say Ronnie Whelan. You won't give him any credit, will you? You hate Ronnie. Why do you hate Ronnie Whelan so much?
I hate Ronnie Whelan
because he plays for Liverpool. Is that it?
No, I don't.
He scored a goal for United. He scored a goal for you.
He did. Yeah, he did. It
was a lovely finish at Stratford end, wasn't it? Right?
No, I don't hate Ronnie Whelan.
You do.
Underrated. I mean, look, again, Dennis Irwin, arguably, because
he wasn't
play left or right. A very good player. And I think actually I read it recently. Chris Morris, very few caps for Ireland. Someone said that recently, didn't they? He's not got a lot of caps, but you think of the main tournaments he was there and how important he was. It was crazy.
Well, that's because Mark Lawrenson retired.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
most underrated. Yeah, it's a hard one.
Well, Rob Allandine, records seen heart. Brilliant dead ball specialist, but not a very good defender. I mean, all our goals. And he says they're great free kicks. All our goals against us came down the left side, didn't it? World Cup 2002.
I think, to be fair though, with Ian Hart, like he was known as a free kick specialist. Dennis Irwin was obviously as well, and that is a dying thing in the game in a sense.
It is, isn't it?
Because Ward Prowse's record is incredible. And I know he's just gone to West Ham now, but like that he scored more free kicks I think since Beckham, wasn't it, in the Premier League? So you haven't, for everyone who scores free kicks, it was a big thing now.
His first penalty for Ireland was against Croatia when we beat them 2-0 in '98. I think it was the only penalty he took. And he scored a free kick I think he only ever scored one free kick for us as well, Dennis Irwin, against Belgium in '97. Because Stan used to be our free kick taker, if I remember at the time. I mean, two really good free kick takers. Steve Carr from Allen and Dunban.
Very unlucky with injuries. He was the best right back in England at that time.
Just about to reach that next level, wasn't he? Just about to go on. Jimmy Shell, most underrated. I like this one here. For me, was Kevin Kilbane. He literally did play anywhere for us, but very good answers. But Ronnie Whelan, just saying. And Daryl asks, "Are you doing Amsterdam away, lads?" Of course we are. There, I'm going to all the games unless family emergency. Yeah, we'll see you around, Daryl. Yeah, the red light. where it goes a bit red. No. I maybe as a concerned citizen, actually, I might go around with a clipboard and a crucifix and try to save the souls of those. Daryl says that Kevin Kilbane is a legend and he used to work with him. Well, he is, and you know who else is a legend? Ronnie, no. You are all legends, so thank you very much, guys. We're going to leave it there. We've gone on a little bit longer than we intended to, actually, but that's because we love talking to you. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Sorry, it wasn't our usual standard, but some personal issues there, so I do apologize again there, guys. Bit of a mad weekend, but thank you so much. And guys, just Martin, thank you, I suppose. I better thank you as well. Thank you, Martin.
I do want to say thanks, Dave. Thanks, Nick, as well for your input today. And I think we have to end the show just thanking one Ireland player from the past, Ronnie Whelan.
I want to thank Ronnie, and he does actually follow us at Lansdowne Road on Twitter, by the way. I love Ronnie Whelan. Do you know, I actually got to get on a plane with him from Geneva back to London. I was talking to him about the match. We lost the match, but I didn't care about that at the time. I thought, how cool was that? Then he sat in first class and I went back down with the peasants. Ronnie, I love you. Anyway, right, we're going to leave it there. Peter Smith says he loves the show. Thanks from Boston. Good man, Peter. I think you're a new one. You're a new follower. Thank you very much, guys. Reese Masterton as well. Rob Allardine, all saying great show. Daryl O'Connor, great show. Thank you guys very much. Rob Allardine, I want you to ask that question. Not going to go through it now. Ask that question next week. We're not sure what time we're not sure what time we're going to be on next week, lads, and won't be on Sunday. I don't think. We'll let you know. just have a couple of things going on there in the real world. But we will have a show for you next week at some point. Right. Gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, guys, you can give us a follow on our YouTube channel. Here's a cheeky subscribe. Share the love. Tell everybody. We're getting lots of new followers every week, and they're saying, "Oh my God, didn't know about this show." Spread the word, guys. We really appreciate it. Obviously, you can go over to greenmachinepodcast.com where our back catalog is. Head over to the YouTube channel, as I said. Head over to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Anyway, we're going to leave it there, guys. Thank you very much. Good night. God bless, and we will see you on the next week. We don't know when, but we'll tell you as soon as we know. All the best.